Welcome to the second episode of Test of Times. Today, we remember a year which was very crucial for India's success in cricket. We are remembering the heroes of 1971 and the twin tours which we won in West Indies and in England. With me, we have Nishad Pai Vaidya, and I'm really honored to have him. Nishad is a sports presenter, is an author. He recently wrote a book named Twice Upon Time on the heroes of 1971. And to discuss 1971, we couldn't get a better person than him. We welcome Nishad on this show, and I hope everything is fine in India and you're doing perfectly well.
All good, Yashasvi. Thank you so much for having me on this show of yours. It's really great to see a youngster looking back at history and trying to document all these things via video. So we need people to know that today we are seeing the golden era, or rather, where we are seeing a lot of we are seeing the cricketers prosper, not just on the field but off the field, building their lives. But back in the times when cricketers didn't have it very easy, and they faced a lot of challenges on and off the field, and yet they were determined. So it's very, very important to document those stories to remind us from where we've come and how far the sport has grown in India. And yes, everything's well here. As we are healthy and happy, that's all we can hope for in these times.
Yes, that's fantastic to know. Now, first of all, Nishad, I'll congratulate you on your book, Twice Upon Time. It's a brilliant read about the 1971 heroes, the Twin Tours. Can you just tell us little about the book? Because we're going to talk about that today only. Can you just tell us little about the book?
Absolutely. Firstly, thank you so much for your wishes. And let me tell you that we've taken a very different approach. We didn't want to make it a very historical read because we wanted to bring something out where even today's generation could relate to it.
Yes.
Where they could pick up the book from anywhere, just pick out any page and read it. So hence what we decided in the concept was that we want to document 71 anecdotes from the year 1971 of Indian cricket, because we wanted to make it like that so that it, and the anecdotes are in a way funny, they're inspiring, they also tell you how difficult it was for them. They're also a little bit statistical, they're also a little bit fact based. So it's a potpourri of all those things, but it's an
Correct.
anecdotal approach that we have taken, because I feel a lot of the times in today's era, anecdotes are the best way to take the message forward. And if with through these anecdotes, we wanted to show the kind of challenges that generation overcame to bring that glory to India in that year.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and we are looking forward to listen more anecdotes from you today on the show. Now, starting off, my first question would be in 1971 when India toured West Indies. So, I really want to know what was the thought process in making Ajit Wadekar the captain of India, knowing that there are certain other players as well who are very good captaincy material.
So one of the things what we should remember for quite some time, or Bombay as it was known
Yeah.
then in Ranji Trophy cricket,
Hmm.
and as you know, Bombay were absolute champions in Ranji
Correct.
Trophy cricket. Had a very strong side. So even back then, breaking into the Bombay side was a challenge, and Ajit Wadekar was the captain of that team.
Correct.
So
Yes.
he definitely had the credentials for leadership. But at the same time, what one must remember was that he wasn't in the best of form with the bat,
Hmm.
and people were, or he himself was wondering whether he would make the cut as a player. So
Yes.
leadership was not on his mind. And Tiger Patodi was captain from the year 1962 after Narine Contractor had been hit by a bouncer on his head. He
Yes.
missed one test match due to an injury in that period, and Chandu Borde had captained in his
Yes.
absence. Now, there was also talk about Chandu Borde being a contender for India captaincy, but Bode was on the older side. Wadekar was 29 and could be seen as someone who could lead India for the
A
next
lot of
few
it.
years. So there was Vijay Merchant, who also was the chairman of selectors, and from Bombay he had this policy of trying to back youngsters, and felt that Patodi era was towards the end. And in a dramatic selection meeting that was only to decide, two selectors voted for Pataudi. Two selectors voted against Pataudi, and one of the selectors who was there, he was absent. Expected to vote for Pataudi, but was absent. That is another story. But then it was Merchant who was the chairman of selectors who put his casting vote and then appointed Wadekar as captain and brought Wadekar in to lead India for the West Indies tour. And then the success obviously ensured his captaincy of England and then thereafter.
Now, this was a brilliant story, Pataudi, who's known as Tiger, very good, inspirational character, inspirational captain. He has done a lot for the Indian team, dropped for those series. And with him, there were other players also dropped, like Rusi Surti was dropped. There was no Farooq Engineer, a brilliant keeper to the West Indies too. There was someone else, and there was no Chandu Bode. Still, these youngsters, be it Salim Durrani, and also don't forget there was no B.S. Chandrasekhar. The spin quartet, only three of them were going, not the four. There was Prasanna there, there was Bedi. The bowling was good, but do you feel that not being with those experienced players, they told, okay, we have a point to prove, and that was motivation for the team?
Not really. I mean, because if you look at it, the thought process back then was very different.
Yeah.
And to say that it was a completely young team is also wrong because there was still ML Jaisema in the side
Yes,
who was quite experienced. He had made his debut for India back in 1959.
correct.
Salim
Yes.
Durrani was there. He was also quite experienced because he
Hmm.
was a stalwart. So there's Durrani, there's Jaisema,
Hmm.
there's Prasanna made his debut in '62.
Yes.
There's Bedi who had also played. There is so you can see that there were players who were actually in Venkat Raghavan
Hmm.
made his debut in '65. So there were players who had played Test cricket for India before Wadekar.
Yes.
So Wadekar was like a link between the two. There were few who were senior to him, and there were others who were juniors, like Ashok Mankad. There
Hmm.
was Sunil Gavaskar making his first tour, Gundappa
Yes.
Vishwanath, Eknath Solkar, to name a few. So all these players had come in, and it was a good mixture of youth and experience. So what went in, they went into the West Indies. It was also yes, there was a point to prove in a sense, but then they had to go by it brick by brick. It's not like today where the Indian team is like, they now Indian team, you expect results out of
Yes.
them.
Correct. Hmm.
Back then there was no such thing. They
Hmm.
not much was expected. When they went to the West Indies, even Dilip Sardesai, one should mention that
Yes.
he
Hmm.
only made it through to the tour because Wadekar put down in the selection meeting and said, look, I want him and I want his experience in the side. And ultimately that made the difference between the two sides. So
Yes.
when they went into the whole thought process was not that. It had to be built brick by brick. And when Wadekar walking out into the first game, the first thing that was on their mind was actually to show the youngsters that they can take on the might of the West Indies fast bowlers, even if they were not as fast as they were in 1962. So it
Yes.
was just they had to break psychological barriers to start with, and brick by brick, when they started doing well, when they enforced the follow on in the first Test
Correct.
match, when
Yes.
then in the second Test into a winning position, that is when the thought process changed. It was otherwise before that. That was in the thought process.
Yeah, this is very intriguing. You said, the thought process of doing something good when something good starts to happen. And as you mentioned about a young Sunil Gavaskar, a 21-year-old Sunil Gavaskar going on his first tour, he plays in West Indies. He scores 774 runs. That is fantastic. Almost 1,000 runs in four test matches, and gets a calypso named after him. A calypso is sang after him. I really want to know what would it have meant for a player like Sunil Gavaskar, and what it would have actually meant for other players coming after Sunil Gavaskar, maybe like Srikant, Tendulkar, someone like this, what it would have meant for them.
See, 71, yes, it actually helps Gavaskar star grow in no time, because he came into the side, not many first class matches. He had done all right in first. there were people who had rated him very highly,
Yes.
especially Vijay Merchant, the
Yeah.
chairman of selectors, rated him extremely highly. And before the team departed for the West Indies, in fact, if anything, Merchant, someone was considered the one of the grand old doyens of Indian batting at the
Yes.
time, picked Gavaskar and said, "Look, this is someone you have to watch out for." And to go and score 774 runs, it was simply phenomenal. So it wasn't so much 64 runs that inspired the generation to come, but I think what Gavaskar did after that, it is one thing to start a career like that, but to go on to hold on to the spot for 16 years. We
Yes.
talk
Correct.
about 774, but Gavaskar was the face of the Indian batting lineup for the next 16 years until 1987, and scripted one memorable knock after the other, and
Yes.
showed tremendous guts, tremendous talent right through, and changed the way Indian cricket approached the game. So Gavaskar is a lot more than the 774 runs. That was just a precursor of what was today.
Correct. And as you said about this, and you said it previously as well, we forget what Dilip Sardesai had done on that tour. He scored around 650 runs, and not many people talk about what Dilip Sardesai has done. It's always overshadowed by that Port of Spain victory. It's overshadowed by Vadekar's captaincy, and it is also overshadowed by the greatness, the brilliance of Sunil Gavaskar. So how would you rate uh, Dilip Sardesai with Dilip Sardesai's batting, Dilip Sardesai's class in that series as a whole?
Well, what can you say? Because you score 642 runs, and in the toughest of circumstances. Because Sardesai, he had gone in 62, had seen his captain being hit by a bouncer.
Yes, Mani
Back then,
contract.
he was made to open the batting because the captain bouncer. So when contractor was out of the Test series, Sardesai was made to open the batting, and later didn't have a very good time. Now he comes back. His Test career up until that time was about average, but he was a dada in domestic cricket. He goes to
Correct.
the West Indies, but it's not just about what he did. He walked the talk.
Yes.
Sardesai was someone who was very, very honest with his teammates. So when he saw the West Indies bowling lineup in the first test, he funny way. I'm not going to use those words here, but he said that these aren't fast bowlers. And Sunil Gavaskar years later said that when a senior player said aren't fast bowlers, automatically our apprehensions had gone. Whatever
Correct.
apprehensions the juniors had, they look at this guy and he's like, these aren't fast. He's like, we start to think, what must these guys have faced in 1962 when
Correct.
they were facing the likes of West Hall? So the Indian team actually drew a lot of energy out of Sardesai. In the first test with India having its back to the wall, he scores 212. In the second
Correct.
test, when India won in the West Indies, in Trinidad, he got
Yes.
100 in the first innings. Then, when it comes to the fourth test in Barbados, when India had their backs to the wall, 70 or 80 odd for five, with West Indies having scored 500 in the first
Correct.
innings, he
Yes.
scores a crucial 150. So you can see when those runs came, they came in very crucial senses. So Dilip Sardesai's mark on Indian cricket will always remain, because in that series, he walked the talk. He told his teammates that these aren't bowlers that we have to fear, but that's one thing to say, but another thing to go out and actually do the job, which he did.
Yeah, you said a perfect point. That he actually gave confidence to the bowlers or to the players that you don't have to be afraid. You can do it on your own. You have to instill the energy in you, instill the belief, and you are fine to go. But we actually forget. We talk a lot about the batsmen. We talk a lot about Sunil Gavaskar. We talk about Vadekar's captains, but we forget the bowlers. Can you tell us stories of how the bowlers did? Because I don't see, when you see the team list, you don't see a very aggressive fast bowler in the Indian team. You just see spinners who are fantastic, craftsmen. But one notable name which was not there was B.S. Chandrasekhar. He was dropped for that series. He came back in England. We'll talk about that later. But how did the bowlers manage? Because the batsmen score runs, but you have to defend the total and get the team out on a low total so you can get a good lead. So what was the bowler's point of view, according to you?
Well, see, there was one fast bowler. He didn't play in any of the test matches. That was D. Govindraj,
Yes,
and he was a Hyderabadi fast bowler. He had pace on his side. Any test matches, India actually went in with the strategy of playing with the likes of Eknath Solkar and Abid Ali, who were all rounders who could take the shine of the ball,
yes,
and then the spinners would come on. But also, someone like an Abid Ali contributed because in Trinidad he became the first Indian to take a wicket of the first ball of a test match when he got
correct.
Roy
Yes.
Fredericks out.
Hmm.
And that's not all. Like later, you had Venkat Raghavan getting 5 wickets in the second innings.
Correct.
Bedi was ever present. And yes, Prasanna had an okay tour to the West Indies, didn't play in England, but he also got injured in the West Indies.
Hmm.
So the bowlers were there, but you also have to give it to the magic moment created by Salim Durrani in the second test at
Yes.
Trinidad when at a crucial juncture he literally had told the ball, I will get the wickets for you. And he gets Clive Lloyd and Gary Sobers back to
Hmm.
back. And that just changes the game in India's favor. And then you've got Venkat Raghavan, who's accurate, who keeps troubling the batsman, and he takes 5 wickets. So it was a lot of attrition as well, coupled with a bit of brilliance from Durrani in the West Indies and from Chandrasekhar in England.
Yes.
So I would say that there was a lot of grit in that Indian bowling, and that they wanted to show, and also they were backed by a captain. Remember, there were a lot of spinners. West Indies would mainly bank on fast bowlers.
Yes.
So what would happen is that West Indies would a bowler would end up bowling an over in 5 or 6 minutes, and someone like a Bedi or other spinners, they would take very little time and may finish their overs in 1.5 or 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
So
Yes.
Wadekar realized that if we bowl like this, we overs than the West Indies, and then you don't want guys like Lloyd, Sobers, Kalicharan in the middle. Not
Yes.
Kalicharan, Lloyd, Sobers, and Kanhai rather.
Kanha. Yes.
Kalicharan played a side game on the tour, by the way. He didn't play in the test matches. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Kalicharan played in one of the side games. He didn't play
Yes.
the test matches. He made his debut much later. So it was Kanhai, Sobers, and Lloyd. You don't want to give them more deliveries to face. So which is why
Correct.
he asked his spinners time as they want and bowl their overs. Media actually asked Wadekar, why are you wasting time? And he just showed them the scorecards saying that we are bowling a lot more overs than the West Indies anyways.
Correct.
So why are you complaining? So that was also one of the strategies used by the Indian team.
Rohan Kanai, as you talked about Rohan Kanai, I get a story in my mind. Sunil Gavaskar always says that Rohan Kanai used to back him between the overs, that concentrate, young man. You have a lot of things to do for your country. And that is why he named Rohan Gavaskar after the great Windies wicketkeeper, Rohan Kanai. And now, I think you talked very interestingly about the side tour. And now, as we go to the English tour, uh, how important were the side tours, with the practice matches? Because in England, India played around uh, more than 10 practice matches and just lost one game. Do you think it was very necessary to get accustomed to the scenario, to the weather, because those are tough conditions. West Indies is a very different condition. England is definitely a very different condition. So is it very important that we have good amount of practice games? Because nowadays you don't see a practice game. You see one or two, maximum one or sometimes even two.
So back in the day, there was no concept of practice games. These were not practice games. These were proper matches on tour. They have proper first class status also because they were an integral part of the tour. It's not like today where test matches are the only focus and you may have a practice match or two to get yourself accustomed. No, back then all these matches, each one of them was as important, if not as important as a test match, but they were very important
Correct.
because that is how tours were done back in the day. If India goes to England, they play a lot of the counties and the test matches. If Australia goes, they do them. You go anywhere, you go to Australia, you do the same. So even you go to West Indies, you play all the provinces. So that was a tour comprised of your match of the first class sides a lot of the first class sides over there and the test matches. So it wasn't just it. There is no concept of practice matches. Were equally important, I would say. So before the first test, India had played quite a few first class matches against counties. Even they beat Middlesex
Yes.
they total against Warwickshire. They actually went on to win that game. So they showed a lot of consistency right through the English season as well in those first class encounters.
Now we see the comeback of one player, that is Farooq Engineer, and another stalwart named B.S. Chandrasekhar. That went on to be a masterstroke for India. Do you think that way? Because the way these players were there, the importance they had and the experience they had of playing in England, do you think that would go on to play an important role for India in that test series in England?
Absolutely, engineer. Because see, in the West Indies, India took wicket keepers in the form of Krishnamurti from Hyderabad and Rusi Gigi Boy from Kolkata. And Gigi Boy didn't play any of the test matches. Krishnamurti kept in the test matches. Wasn't obviously very successful with the bat, but with Farooq Engineer, you get someone who's also very, very good with the bat,
Correct.
who's aggressive, who can set the tone for their batting lineup. So when Farooq and on top of it, he's got experience in English conditions. Board had a rule back then that only those who feature in domestic cricket in India can go on to play for the Indian team. That was what was introduced, which is why Rusurti, who was playing in Australia, and uh, Farooq Engineer, who was in England,
Yes.
they weren't picked for the West Indies. But now
Hmm.
here, better sense prevailed, and Farooq Engineer was brought in on the condition that he will only feature in the test matches, and rest of the time during the tour matches he will not be playing them. He will be playing for Lancashire.
Yes.
Although he did play, I think, one game for India against Glamorgan, because I don't think there was any clash. But it definitely helped because Engineer made vital contributions on the tour. Chandrasekhar had a bad run of luck from the 1967 tour to Australia.
Yes.
So he got injured on that tour. He was sent back. When he came back, he injured himself in a motorcycle accident, was brought back into the side in 1969 but did not play a test match. Vijay Merchant, for some reason, was not very happy with his unorthodox playing. So what happened then was that when Chandrasekhar was picked at the back of some good spells in Ranji Trophy, Merchant in fact told him, this is your. So like in a sense, it was like an ultimatum to him.
Yes.
And Chandrasekhar on that England tour was consistent right through. He took a lot of wickets in the side games, and which eventually culminated in the historic 6 wicket haul at the Oval, which helped India win the test match.
Now, before going to the oval test, we talk about the first test. There was a very peculiar incident in that first test match when they say that Jon Snow purposely, or for some reason, had pushed Sunil Gavaskar. So, what was that? What actually had happened, and what actually was the media's perception about that incident?
Yeah, well, considering it was at the home of cricket and so much being said about it being a gentleman's game, I think that's where the incident blew out of proportion. Because for the Indians, it was done and dusted on the field, but authorities didn't take to it very kindly. In a sense, what happened is during India's tense run chase, Farooq Engineer tapped one down the leg side, and and they called each. Gavaskar was going down from the non-strikers end. John Snow, the bowler, ran across the pitch trying to get to the ball and collided into Gavaskar, and there was a tumble, and
Yes.
Gavaskar fell. So that wasn't seen very kindly from the Lord's Pavilion and the MCC members. And John picked up Gavaskar's bat and tossed it back to him.
Oh,
Later on, when when there was a break, I think it was breaks, and when Snow went into the dressing room, there was like already he had thought he'll just go and apologize to Gavaskar, but then there was a secretary of the English Cricket Board who came in and lambasted him. So there was a lot going on in that way. And later on the field, Gavaskar was, when he was batting, told him all good or something like that, and they just sort of smiled it away, and it just was done and dusted. Indians would have been quite surprised. Ladies didn't take it very kindly. They were like, "This is not cricket" or whatever, and then they suspended him for the next test
yes.
match, or rather, did not pick him on disciplinary grounds. But considering if it would have happened today, the players would have just fist bumped each other, laughed it off, and then
Yes.
continued with the game. match referee also may have said that fine, they have just spoken amongst themselves, these things happen. But those were not those days. We didn't have match referees back then.
Yeah, like you said about, if it would have happened this time around, it would have been all fun. We saw that in 2019 when, Jofra Archer bowled one bouncer to Steven Smith. It was all nice. He comes, tells him, "You're fine. I hope you're fine, and it will be all fine." But now, the first test is done. The second test is also a draw. Going into the third test, India, do you think India would have had a feeling that they could go on to win the series? Or would it be like, okay, let's draw this test and let's be happy that we have gone to England and we have drawn all three test matches? So what was the mindset? Like, go for the victory or just आराम से खेलते जो होगा देखा जाएगा?
Well, considering from whatever I've read, they went in. They were quite positive. Yes, at dash to the target that didn't happen. At Manchester, they were saved by the rain. And when they
Yes.
went into Lords, I think where they started believing that they could win when Chandrasekhar bowled that great spell on I think the penultimate day, and when things turned in India's favor, and that is when India started believing. And especially they wanted the win once the target was set. That is when I think it was completely like, now we have an opportunity to win the game. And that is when the inaugural test happened. And they mind you, they did a very good job. They held their nerve during a very tense run chase, because it wasn't just the pressure of the bowling, but they were also having the pressure of history. And considering how it may have been, I think it may have been as big as a World Cup final, I think,
Correct.
for those players, because they wouldn't have experienced anything like this in years. And winning a series in England was as big as that. And I think the celebrations thereafter also proved that.
So there's one story which I have read in magazines and newspaper. On the final day of the Oval Test match, it accidentally was also Ganesh Chaturthi, and there was a circus around the corner, and an elephant named Bella had crashed into the, not crashed, might have just come uh, into the ground, and Vadekar said, "Ganpati Bappa has come to bless us." So was Bella the elephant very lucky for India? That day, we saw a brilliant run chase by Wadekar, the batsman. We hear a lot about the Wadekar, the captain, but that day Wadekar, the batsman, played a brilliant knock.
Well, not quite. Wadekar actually got out early in the day. He on the penultimate day he scored 45, and then early in the day, without adding to his overnight score, he was run out while trying to get a quick single. And India was still around 100 runs away from victory. So the elephant actually came from a zoo, and some fans had smuggled that little elephant inside from the Chesington Zoo actually.
Okay.
So when as Wadekar was walking off, he knew it was Ganesh Chaturthi. Just looked up to the sky, said a prayer that God please help us win, because there were nerves obviously, and now you had lost 3 wickets. He was run out. Sardesai was still in. Bhatt walked in, and even Colonel Hemo Adhikari, who was the Indian manager on tour, told Wadekar that, look, this is a very good omen that on Ganesh
Yes.
Chaturthi we have an elephant on the field, so nothing can go wrong today. So that is the kind of energy that they drew from that. It was quite symbolic in a way, and they just looked at it and felt that it's a good omen and we will possibly be successful today.
So we have talked so much about the tour, and that was a brilliant victory for India in 1971 at Oval. And we still know that Abid Ali scored the winning runs, and what reception and what respect these guys gained. But I have one thing, we talk about 2001, setting the tone for India, being a very strong team and actually playing an important role in the 2011 victory as well. Do you think that the 1971 victory also played an important role in the victory in 83? Okay, I understand that there was no player, there was just Kirmani as a side player, he was in the team, he didn't play. But do you think it actually, brought belief in the boys in India back home that yes, we can do it?
See, that is at least what you can say, that 1971 laid the foundation for Indian cricket. in that sense. It gave it a lot of confidence. We must also remember that in 1968, under Patauji, India had won a test series in New Zealand.
Yes.
So three back-to-back test series away from home, India had won. So that was a huge morale boost, and winning in England was huge. So in a sense, there were a few memories that India would like to forget, like the 75, 79 World Cups, the 74 tour to England. But largely, you could see that they were building, and they were on the right path. Like in 72, 73, India beat England at home in India, that is. And then later in 77, 78, I think India had a very good tour to Australia,
Australia, yes.
winning two test matches, although they lost the series. India in 74, 75 also, when West Indies came here 2-0 down, India then goes on to come back into the series, level it 2-2, and then West Indies won. They were obviously the superior side. In 76, India chased down 403, scoring
Yes.
406 in the fourth innings. So
Mhm.
there were so many highlights at the Oval in 1979. You had Sunil Gavaskar nearly taking India to a great victory.
Yes.
So there were bright spots in that year. So it was all building up to 1983, and then you had a Kapil Dev come in. You had other cricketers coming in. You had a class batsman like Dilip Sardesai coming into the side. You later had Srikanth, who could play one-day cricket. Mohinder Amarnath made a comeback, one of his many comebacks, and then that team, you could see that Gavaskar and Kirmani were, of course, around in 71. Kirmani was only there for the England tour as a backup wicketkeeper, but then Gavaskar was also there, who played 80.
Yes.
Before 83 was a huge thing, but 71 was definitely something that sort of laid that foundation of confidence. And that confidence just passed on from one to another. Remember, you didn't have a TV back in those days. You didn't have widespread as we have today for that impact to seep into consciousness as such. So it was a lot about the team taking that culture forward, and I think that culture got passed down after that 71 victory. As the new players came in, it just got passed on and on and on. And in 83, when India won the World Cup and it was seen on television, it just changed after that. And we see later that how television has actually brought in a lot of that confidence. Like a kid growing up can see something on TV and get inspired. It wasn't so back in the day. You had to imagine, but it was a lot through talk. So 71 had that, possibly that anecdotal power to a lot of those cricketers who came in later.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure listening to these stories, hearing a lot of these stories from you. And, it was an immense pleasure for me to know about these heroes, learn about them, and, being a part of this journey where I can actually tell to a lot of people that 71 was a year which actually brought a cultural change in Indian cricket. I have had the pleasure of talking to you, Nishad. It was a pleasure having you on show. I hope you enjoyed the show. Any last and final remarks from your side?
Nothing. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, wishing you and your venture the very best. And I
Thank
hope
you very much.
you get a lot of things in future.
Thank you very much. That is it from our side from the second episode of Test of Time. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe to our channel, and continue watching cricket and keep spreading love. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you guys.